Chris.
Oh,
Coming
okay.
in, hitting the wire.
Hey.
Getting all addicted to working out all the time.
What?
You and your keg pack.
These women are these women are killing me.
Are. Hang on one second. Hey everybody, it's Max Farrell from DexFXMarkets.com. We're going to get started in just a second, and we have the pleasure of having the royalty of royalties on board today. We got Thor Rafferty, myself, and not last but least, last or least, Christoph Gagne.
No, last and least. Go ahead and say it.
Last and least, and foremost, and Midwest, and mid-range. And always out working out. Always bragging, Max, I'll be there as soon as I'm done at the gym. As soon as I'm done at the gym, I'll be there. Me and my keg pack buddies.
Well, us old guys need to stay in shape.
Yes, we do. I have a good shape. It's called circular. It works nice now. I'm trimming back out again. It's funny because I've been really up and down as of late. That's the only one, I've worked from home now for close to 10 years. So I've always tried to keep somewhat healthy as we go, sitting in a chair for a long time. And that stuff goes right to your butt. For some it doesn't. All right. If you just tuned in, you're here for trading and you're listening to me talk about my butt. I apologize. But let's get started. What has been going on the last week? Yeah, we missed it. Actually, it's like the first live system we missed yesterday because we had some stuff that we were doing. If you're looking at a blank screen right now, I do apologize. I'm trying to get some things on for you so you can see. We're going to do a new share. We're going to come into the screen. And of course, go from one blank screen to another. Here we go. All right. So the Dex Atomic ATM, as most of you know, has been sort of really kicking it in. Here's my live account that we had a losing day yesterday. Let's throw it all away. We had a losing day yesterday. Should we throw it all away? Should we just be like, kick it to the curb? Get what they say in Boston. Ask Nancy. Do they say that in Boston? Kick it to the curb? I don't know. Okay, so losing day yesterday. Now, I said this before, and we have some other people's spreadsheets today. We're going to be probably looking at Thor's spreadsheet on the ITM in this process, but Thor is live. I'm live. There's a handful of other people that are still trading in demo, figuring stuff out, getting stuff on with the ATM. They left their ITM live accounts come over to the ATM to give things a shot to see how shit's working. Now, as probably some of you know, yesterday, David Menning, one of the other testers here, he's an animal, an absolute animal. Yesterday morning when, or what was it? What day was that? It was like over a day and a half. It was on the 9th. That was like a really super bad day. That was just really bad day. It was like $179 in the hole for the day. And it was super frustrating, right? Because when you end a day with like $179 in the hole, you go, is this right? Am I doing it right? Is something happening? Right. But what you forget is that the 6 days prior to you were making a couple $100 a day, right? You're not always going to have the best day, right? And you're probably going to start out the next day like you did here with a couple losses and then it really started to entangle itself to be like a day and a half worth of bad trades. And, if you got about a half a week, that's good, and a half a week was bad, guess what? You still are in money. Isn't that weird? So I'd say about halfway through into the next day, it started to come back out. There was a lot of news that was happening. He had a couple threes in there. By the time it got down to the second day in there, he was back right again, right? It was like he was like -7 by that time for that particular day. So between the 2 days, it was a little bit tough, but there was some news and some other junk that was happening in there. Now, with David Menning testing in there, he took the full approach. Just go straight at it. Keep going. Keep pushing through. I took a sort of a backdoor approach. I said, I took a day off, right? I stopped my last trade on the 8th and I went, yeah, I got to go see what the hell's going on. Making sure that that one bad day wasn't like I tell everybody, if you get a bad trade, if you lose a trade, go check to see if you made any mistakes. We made no mistakes. The codes were good. The thing was good. All that kind of stuff. And it was really about taking your time and just making sure that you're going to have these streaks of good and some streaks of bad. It's just that if they start to get super bad, like if you start noticing like, crap, every single trade's losing, or I'm getting in and every single trade's losing, then you got to kind of pull back. You got to sort of reassess. But for the most part, you should be okay with all the testing that we're doing. And now with what I'm doing with, let me see if I can find it here real quick. You're going to see, there's one of our members. I'm building out this strategy testing system. Now, this is not the actual strategy tester. We're still building it out. It's 1 bar Stratus, so we're testing stuff out. So don't think like, oh, it's on -5 cents. There's a different way that we have to do the strategy test in the system, but I'm going to be able to put this into a trading view system and spit that information out like we do with our DPC. Our DPC system for the DEX signals and daily signals and intradays use MetaTrader 4 and a really powerful databasing calculational system. And I cannot reproduce that yet. I'm working on it, right? So I said the other day, our programmer was killed overseas and we miss him terribly. And we can't reproduce exactly what he was doing in there. I built most of the system in there, so I've rebuilt all the signal systems, and that's how we got the signal systems back into a trading view chart, because I had to transfer them from one language to another, right? But I had to learn the Pine script language, which is this Pine editor system here. I can't keep showing that. That's some of our code in there, our source code in there. But our solution for working the intraday or the DEX atomic system has really taken on a mind of its own, because there is so much possibility now. The opportunity mainly comes from being extremely versatile, right? And that versatility allows us to open many doors. Not to seem too quirky, but it does. It gives us a lot of opportunity to trade the system in many different ways. Now, Thor's here. Thor, you've been trading the ITM for a while, right? The in the money trades.
That's correct.
What are you using to pick your structure? Are you using timed or hard structure, or what are you using?
What I do is I jump over to the Nadex charts, Nadex, which of course I obviously have open, and I flip open their charts and I try to find a strike that makes sense, and then line it up with support and resistance. And I'm still using. I'm not on TV yet.
Okay, you're still using the DEX,
so
the DEX charts here,
right? The website, the free website system.
Wow.
And okay. Sorry, you know me. I'm always 3 generations behind technology.
No. I'm impressed. I'm not. See, here's the thing. They how can I say this? Why use a screwdriver when you could use a hammer kind of mentality? I don't think the trading view charts are fluid and precise, and there's a lot of information in there. And for those mentalities, it works very well. But for those that have been using this system that you see in front of you, just the regular website, let me tell you, there's a lot of pro forma information in here. Okay. And what this means is that the simplistic value of what these charts are gives you less noise. It gives you a clearer picture of what you have to comply to. And if this is all you know, you're going to do well. If this is all you use, you're going to do well. You're still going to have the win losses. You're still going to have the potential, but the system is the same on both sides. One has a lot more information. And I'll be honest with you. I kind of even went, I even dumbed it down just a little bit further. I did something like this. Okay. And in this process, there is a just an availability. Now I since cleared the database because I'm restarting throwing in trades, and we were dealing with some issues with decimal point issues, and now they're being rectified here now. But in doing so, I created an opportunity to make it even smoother, to not look at the because some, as you could probably tell, analysis paralysis, right? Was that what they say, Thor? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. You start getting it, and then I start going, I got a downtrend, and I probably shouldn't get into this one or this one, and then I start making adjustments. Well, look at there's a train here, and it's going against it, and you start thinking way too much.
Yeah, my first rule is stick to your plan and don't
Right.
deviate from your plan.
Right.
And it's so tempting. You're looking at the thing and say,
Right.
that trade might work, or that idea might work. No, create a plan and stick to it.
Absolutely. So in trading the ITMs, you still got to use some sort of value intent here, right? So how the ITMs will trade on the signal system is that we're going to use, we do have two parts, right? We got an ITM that has more of a slicker structure. It's called the regular dexatomic, right? It's going to go back and it's going to find, support and resistance areas. It's going to apply a certain algorithm that I created. We call that the regular dexatomic. And that's what you see here on the screen right now. These charts are signal charts. They will have an ability like this particular pair called for I think it was an amount to be right here at this level where the red is. Okay. And so this would definitely have won if it got picked up. Right. But with the ITMs, it's a opportunity, like with the dailies, you got to make sure that it has the pullback to it. There's all these processes that need to fill a particular trade. Right. So how much is your fill rate on yours? Right around how many do you think you fill?
I use a lot of market orders.
Okay.
So I would say it's not so much fill rates, I'm rejecting trades.
I see. Okay.
Okay.
So
I'm rejecting trades that I don't feel are gonna work out.
okay.
And once I find a trade, I usually get a pretty high fill rate, or I use a market order.
Right.
If I think it's.
Do you do any working orders at all?
Yes, I use both working orders and market orders.
Okay,
but,
good.
And it depends on the circumstance.
Yeah.
The thing I really hate is you're looking at a great trade and it just keeps right on going.
Yeah.
It gets better,
Right.
and you're sitting and saying, "Oh no, it's never gonna." So I like to use a market order whenever I feel it's appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
It costs me a few bucks, but it significantly increases my win percentage.
Right.
And that's just what I do. One of these days I should make a video of it.
Yeah. So now do you scalp out at all? Are you a scalper?
No.
You're in for the win.
Into the end.
Okay.
I've seen too many trades.
Yeah.
I had one the other day that I swore was going to lose, and in the last 2 minutes it just turned right around. Well, I traded, believe it or not, the what was the FOMC? Not the FOMC. Wednesday. The FOMC rate decision, the actual rate decision at 2:00.
Right.
But I don't trade it exactly at 2:00. I try to wait and see what the rate decision is.
Right.
And how it's going to move the market, and give it 5 or 6 minutes and then work on it. But it went negative for a while, but it turned right around, and it was a nice winner. So I hold to the end. I do not scalp out. I've learned over the years that it's probably, for me, it's like 50-50. Okay. 50% of the time it wins, 50% of the time it keeps on going down and loses. So if I scalp out, I'm cutting out that 50% winners. I'm locking in a loss. So I don't scalp out anymore at all. I used to, but I don't anymore. Learned that.
Well, that's good. That's good, because it takes a real power to stick to your plan and not overtrade or undertrade or what have you. So there's a process that I've learned in just sort of, I guess, just taking your time, right? And just getting in, taking a deep breath, just becoming part of the statistical value, right? So you get there and you look and you don't say, okay, here's the signal, it's come out. Oh, well, that's too far away from, like I was doing the other day. Even the guy who invented the dang thing is like overthinking the entire thing. So when I started to build, I was before I came on to the show today, I was putting on a protection script because I put out that thing and I had a webinar that I'd done, and there's already people coming to the page. There's already people coming to my page when I'm testing. So I had to secure something. So I do apologize for getting there and you can't see it. No, I don't apologize. You shouldn't be going there anyway, you little vixens. But there's part of the process for me where it's just as simple as getting onto the site and coming on and trading, and just keep step and repeat, step and repeat, step and repeat.
Right. Muscle memory almost.
Yeah, exactly. Let me see. I'm going to get into this one, 90.05. Now I'm doing this in demo. I was in live, but I'm doing this in demo because I have a few things that I'm testing out here, and I don't want to be distracted. I can't even remember what that was now. All right, Euro grip rate pound. See, this is where I just need to get my alert system up. I have to kind of go in and fix that here for a second. Euro grip rate pound, and we're at 9.05 on the sell.
You're going to do a market order at the money.
Well, I'm going to do a market order at the. Here's what I'm waiting to see. Here's 9.04, and what I want to do is that I want to see, where this is almost out of the money at the moment, right? So I'm going to come on, and I am going to do a market order because I am above my 45 mark, right? If I'm at my above 45 mark, I'm going to do a market order. If I'm below my $45 profit margin, I'm going to put a working order on.
Right.
Okay. Now here's the other great deal, right? If I wanted to really overthink it and put it to a process of, hey, look, the better zone for a sell, since I don't have any left information here, right? Maybe my better zone for sell is up here, right? Or if I had information, like for this one here, if I was really going to, because I know that by the time I got here and had pullback, this is my next level, right? This is my next level right there. And I could take that as an ITM trade, right? I could put that down as an ITM, or I could put it down as an ATM. If I think that you're going to get pullback and push off, you see, because of all this information in here. And so this is another strategy. So there is an ATM strategy, just straight market order at the money, at that pair, boom, go. 62% puts you in a very good, comfortable win strategy, right? This $1,800 in 8 days. Okay. There's 589 real cash since the 7th. So that's 4 days, right? This is $589 for this week so far. One contract apiece. So that strategy works. The ATM strategy with a market order on, boom, or a working order on at the money, the one that's at the money side.
Yeah.
Strong, right? And I put a few in, and I think David Menning did too. Ron Fickert is also on there as well. $687 since the 3rd. So what's that? 8 days, 687. Not as much as David Menning, because I think David Menning's changing really, really different time periods. I think Ron Fickert is as well, and I can kind of see that he's hitting the early morning hours too. And you see large, and he's also tracking against the trend, with the trend mentality. We all have our thoughts and our processes. 3 different strengths, 3 different processes there, so strong. But again, back to, there is a process that when you're working with an ITM, that there could be a solution for any one of these, like even an OTM strategy. Like if we were looking at this and there's no left information, we're really strong, and we see this as a level, right? We see like this level was here even as this market hit. If I wanted to, I could say, hey, look, at this level right here, even if I found a strike that was just even a little bit closer and it's out of the money, and let's say if I wanted to, and we could treat this as one, right? If we said that we're out of the money right now here, okay, even though that this is a buy, could this be above? See, since this is a sell, we're hoping that it comes back to the market here, right? So we would want to have to find a good OTM strategy would be find a strike that's right in around in this area.
Right.
So this is 89.99. So let's go over to Nadex, 89.99. So that's 89.94 would probably be a good deal, but that's $89. Well, that's only an $11 cost for that trade, right? And you could say, listen, I only have to fill, right? I only need a 12%, 10 or 15% success rate for this to work. So if I place an order in there, I'm spending $11. But now what's going to happen? Because we're hoping that it's going to come down for a sell and hit that at 900 or 89.94, right? That's what it's a couple of pips down from where we're at right now because we're a little bit out of the money at the moment. So what's going to happen is that pair, if it does come back down, and even if it starts to finish in here, an OTM strategy is pretty good to scalp out, but only at the number that you would normally get from an ATM or an ITM. Make sense?
Yeah.
So once it gets down to, say, if it does pop back down, now if it doesn't, I'm only at $11. But if it does, and I feel good and strong enough, like if I don't feel like it's going to bounce off this level here and bounce back up again and keep following, or is it going to come back to the MA and try to hit the moving average, then I'm way in the money on that OTM that I just made, and I can make $91. Got what I'm saying? Or I could scalp out at any time from the time it hits the money to there, because by the time it hits the money, hits the actual number itself, you've got it for 90 something dollars. It's already going to be in the money. It'll still be a little bit OTM, and you'll still have profit margin on it. You see what I'm saying? So that's a strong OTM strategy, but we haven't tested it yet. We haven't tested completely. I've tested probably about 30 trades that way. And it all comes back to the same thing, is just experience and pacing and tempo. Okay. It's the same thing with what David Menning's doing, the same thing what Ron Fickert's doing. I'm pretty sure that Jeff Vandenberg and a handful of other people that are in here trading this are using all their own different mentalities and their experiences. Mine's more of a seize the day kind of thing. And then the pace that you use to trade the system is important too, right? What fills your mentality? So what I mean by this is that I show up at my computer about 5 minutes prior to. Right. I get myself ready. I don't even look at any previous trades that I may have on. If it's for the first part of the day, I might show up about 10 minutes, get all my screens up, get everything on one page, so I can just go bop, bop, and be back and forth and do whatever I'm going to do. Okay. If that's the case, then I have a process that I just kind of clear my mind and I get ready for my trading cycle. So the first one in the day, I get there about 10, 15 minutes prior to, I clear my mind, I get ready. I make sure I have all my stuff ready. I turn off, I kind of look away from Facebook. I put my phone upside down. I don't look at anything. And I just focus on trading. Signals pop over, top of the hour. I use the masters. I use the secondaries. And this last week, by the way, I've only traded the master series. I've not traded any secondaries. And I've only traded from 9 in the morning to 3 p.m. I haven't traded any time past that time. Well, no, I did last night. Sorry. So I did trade a little bit more, but the process is that if you find yourself getting to a plan, you're going to end up choosing either one or two pairs to always trade, or particular time frames to trade all of them. Okay. But when I get to my computer for my second trade, like if I started and I did a trade at 9 o'clock and I come back to my computer about 9:50, 9:55, I don't even go to Nadex. I don't want to even look to see if they're winning. For me personally, that keeps me from keeping and scaring me for the next trades. And I'm serious. It really does. It has like this effect on you of like, oh, God, I'm losing right now, right? And then you start waiting. You're watching the clock. The last 30 seconds, you're like, please, please, please. And then there's like just tension. There's this process. So the last 20 trades that I've tried to commit to was one of the mentalities was don't look at Nadex till after they, so you look at the market. You get a little sneak peek when you hit the chart, right? When you hit the chart and you're like, you could probably tell, okay, that trade's losing or that trade's winning or what have you, right? Like in the last couple of seconds, this trade lost, this Audi USD. But I also bought the 68-04 one, the one lower, right? And I'll show you that here. I got into the Audi USD for this one, and it started to pull away, and I started to look at it. I was like, I think I may have to come down to the bottom one and do that. Now, this is a pullback structure 4, and this got put on with a working order. You see what I'm saying? So I took this one at market, right? So $46, and I put a working order on that one, and that strategy worked for me. Now, this is on my live account. Okay, so when I did that, if I come back over here and I click that Audi USD, you can kind of quickly see why I did that, right? And so when I came down and I grabbed the one down here, that one worked. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it was because he was within the mean. So what happened was that it popped all the way up and came down in the mean. Now, the other is there was a time when this particular trade, because as it started to pull back that first hour, I kind of pulled back a little, right? But as that one started to take off and this one got filled, that one started to take off, there was a huge potential to scrap out because we were way in the money. I mean, way in the money. So there's a whole mentality behind them all. You know, should I scalp? Shouldn't I, or what have you? And I'm a proponent to do whatever you feel necessary as long as your result is satisfying to you. If you're scalping and this result's not satisfying, try not scalping. And if they both give you the same amount of agita, then stick with the one that you feel you can control the best. Is it best to come to your computer and not even look at it? Or is it best to come over and toil and fix and tinker and push and do whatever? What works for me may not work for you. Okay. So there's a lot of value in just coming in and learning how to read the charts and see where things are at. Don't try to fix every single trade. Well, if I come in here and the MA is pointing down and I put on a stochastic and I maybe put on some Bollinger Bands and I put a bow tie on it at 3 o'clock. And if there's a fly on my wall at 7, then I'll trade. Too many rules. Too many rules. So you should be very excited because there's a lot of potential for all of what we got. See, if you come here now and you look at it, you're like, oh, there's all this red. What should I do? And this is what you do. Turn that shit off. Go do something else now, right? Don't even trade anything more. Don't come back in and look at the markets. Don't go see what the Mexi's doing. Don't go see what everything's doing. Because right now, trading a demo, you're cool.
And I'll tell you, if it's like $4 in the red, it's probably profitable. You know,
Yeah.
If you want to jump back there.
Yeah.
If you, I don't know if you want to jump back to that screen for a second.
Yeah.
So like being down $7 and $8, that's probably profitable on their chart. You know.
Yeah. No. It's
that's
$89.94.
That's the market maker screwing with you.
Right. Well, no. See, and it is because it's supposed to be below, right? Because here's the thing: $89.94 under the sell there, right? And that has less money in the loss than the one that's 4 pips away, 5 pips away from.
Yeah.
You understand? So yeah, that's definitely them messing with you. You know, because here's what I think is going to happen. Why is this one so good? Because this has $89 on it on profit margin. Okay, so it's skewed because you have $89. It's worth something because there's a possibility if this just drops down to 9,000, there's a possibility this will be green.
Yeah.
You see, so and what did this cost you to get into? If you get in and you like say $22, you made 50%. You made a 1-to-1, right? And so, if once it gets back $10, that's 1-to-1 right there. Mm-hmm. You get to $20, that's 1-to-2, 30, 1-to-3, and so forth. You're now like, holy crap! And if it goes to full fruition, that's 1-to-8. So there's great opportunity if you can see it and know your market. Just don't go get into an OTM just because it's if it's heading down and you're whatever. You have to kind of know and feel and learn how to trade. Trade the system regularly for 3 months. And let me tell you, these charts, the strategy, the system will imprint on you. You know what that means? It becomes like muscle memory, it becomes like just factual to you. Like you can see how the market's going. You could feel, the trend. You could feel, the direction. 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 like the passion that, yes, this is going to come back down. It's going to whelp in here. How many times have you guys seen me trade on these lives and I go, you know, it's just going to come back up. It's going to dip for a minute. It's going to come back down. And then we go off to another chart. And on these trading view charts, you can come back in an hour and my drawings will still be here. And where is that para? It's 90% of the time within the box that I created. And if you really want to kind of like mess with things a little bit, if you do a replay, okay, you can actually teach yourself. And I think I should do a course on that, on how to test yourself and guesstimate levels of intent for the market, right? To where you come back, you can't even see over to your right of your screen, right? And you look at this and you go, which way do I feel when something starts to produce, you know, which way do I feel the market's going to go from that big candle that just happened right there? You could do something like that. Now you can do, let me see here. I have to kind of show you how that works, but you could say, you know, oh, it's going to draw, and you can start learning how to draw, you know, to where you think it's going to come. When it pulls this way far back away from the MA, one thing that I've learned is that it tries to get back. When you get this kind of distance, right? This kind of distance from here to here, it's always wanting to come back to the MA, right? Why? Because price action wants to level out. You get this big, huge movement away from the average. It's outside the norm. It wants to come back to normal. Everything, I have a saying, is that everything returns to the mean. The mean being the middle. If you break a support level or a resistance level, it's going to try to come back to it one way or another. When you break a dynamic level, it's going to try to come back to it at one point or another. Okay. And that's why I kind of look at like these kind of relationships. Let me pull in here just a little bit. And you see the market came up, it pushed past, okay, got rejected, came back, rejected again, pushed through, came back, hit a dynamic level, and bop, came back to it. Out, bop, came back to it, and then came back to that same level it hit over here. This isn't a coincidence. These are all these buyers and sellers in here looking at previous like structure and saying, okay, for some reason that hit, so we got to get out too. So then you get out, and then people are like, all right, buy more. Oh, no, got to hit that level again. I'm gonna let it get to that level, and I'm gonna get out. And you get out. Market hits that level, and off you go. Comes back again, hits it again. And now third time, fourth time, fifth time, you don't know. We don't know. For some reason, it hits a couple times, and then it's like, all right, I'm done with that level. And then it comes down and does its thing for a while. But then as it pushes past through, that level's still there. Look what happens. Does it again. And then this time it does a little bit, you know, people are like, this level's really good, so I'm going to put a stop loss right there. And they do that. People come in and they put a stop. In the regular Forex market, that would have been a great spot to put a stop loss to say, okay, if it goes there, it's going to keep going north. But guess what happens? It gets taken out. Everybody stop loss, and everybody's like, panic, sell. And you start reading this market, you start to laugh. You start looking at how sheepish this process is. And anytime you get like a red line level and you see all these pushes past it, these are all stop hunters, right? These are all push the market further to grab all the people who put stop losses down in this area. Boom, right here. Okay. And they did that, right? And where it started at was right here originally. And then people would come in and put a stop loss here the next time. And then here the next time. And then here the next time. And you could tell where the majority of stop losses are at, because this is where the end of those bars end there, right? This is where they were mostly at. So it pushed past and grabbed it. And then everybody starts buying back in. They fight for a while. And look what happened. Again, the red line. People start putting stop loss. As the market started to vibrate here, they came back down to these levels and went into the mean and put another line here. And then look what happened. Boom, take them all out with one bar. And as they all got taken out, everybody started to buy again and created a buying pattern. And this is where we've been for 3 days, right? But that battle that happened there, this is a huge battle that happened. Okay. And as you start to realize that these little battles, these little continuations of lines, and, you know, what do they really mean? You know, that's not coincidence. And as it pushes through and it creates more, it's not coincidence. And when you see these things happen, you know, this doesn't mean reversal. As it starts climbing and it keeps bouncing off the mean and bouncing off the average, this becomes predictable by higher highs and lower highs or higher lows, right? And as this starts to happen, it becomes predictable. So in something like this, you get a down arrow, there is a possibility that, yes, you might want to go, all right, I'm going to put an ATM, but I'm going to do so at this level. Make sense? And so what happens? Well, here's where the market ends out. Would this pair have gotten bought up two pips away? And the answer is yes. The pair, if you would put an ATM at this level with a working order, it would have gotten bought up at that level right here, right at the end of the hour. And even if it didn't,
Max.
Yeah, buddy.
Sorry to interrupt.
Okay.
I gotta go get Nancy. She got a flat tire, so I'll be back in a minute.
All right, no worries.
Okay. Okay, bye.
So the process here is you can create, once you start really seeing it, you can start to create your own mentalities behind it. And I think that's where Thor has gravitated to. I think that's where a handful of others who, like Max, I've been trading the ITM system for so long and doing so well with it, learning how to read that stuff. Now you're telling me I just go in and set and forget, I'm going to punch you right in the face. Right? But it's just another way of thinking and another way to progress through your process. Still vibrating at 9,008 for that Euro Great Britain pound. I'm not even worried about it. There's a reason I came in and traded demo this time, because I wanted to show you some experiments on different ones to get. I didn't want to do that on my live account, showing this process. See, and here's another one, 106.66 sitting at 65 right now. You could come back in and really start to overestimate this process. Even looking at the market here, we're looking for a sell. You know, this process, if I just look nakedly at this chart, there's no indicators on this chart, right? There's nothing up my sleeve. There's nothing in my jacket, right? If I was really looking at this, I'm looking at this push here. And where do they refer this to as? George, you know what this is?
No, I don't recognize that one.
This is called a flag.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah.
A pennant would be if the
I usually think of it upside down, but
yeah, if the pennant is like this,
right,
the market had to be closing down and shrinking down to a level, right?
Yeah.
And this is called a flag setup. Now you can probably take the flag pull up to the highest point over the last however many bars you have here, you take back here. So if there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 20, so you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 20, so right about here, the highest point within that time, right about there, right? And what this means is that if the market begins to vibrate and it's hitting a channel, okay, like this, it's building like a momentum, right? So what it wants to do is it wants to push out top or bottom, okay? And if it pushes out, because it's heading down, this is called a bear flag. If it pushes down and comes through here, this is called a bear continuance flag. And if it pops out the top, it's called a bear reversal tag. Flag, not tag. I'm thinking of hunting. Okay, so in this kind of setup, yeah, you can kind of play with this all day long and be like, where does it go? Now, normally it goes up to a certain percentage of the flagpole. So if this from here, 106.61 to up here is 107, that's about 40 something pips. It usually goes about 70% of that flagpole. So if you say, so 40%, so say about 30 pips, right? So you can say about 30 pips to that point. And that's from injection. So wherever it pops out at, right? So if we say, if it comes out the top here, it's going to come back up to right around this area. If it comes out the bottom, it's going to come out, it's going to come down to right around this area. Now you could use that information for OTMs. You could use that for once it injects past, to use this as your, if it comes out the top, you could use this as your statement pricing on Nadex. And if you didn't, you could use this down here on, you could use this statement once it pushes past as your statement over on Nadex. Or you could come down further because you know it's going to come down. You could go to an OTM, right? You could say if this level here, if it pushed past was, if the market pushed past here and closed over that line and had another bar starting to go, you could say that level is an OTM, or this level could be an OTM. And you could say, okay, it's going to get close to there. And at this one, you're probably buying it for like $80, $90. And this one, you could probably get it for like 75. And once it gets super close to it, you're going to be in profit, and you could scalp out, or you could get this one and scalp out really close to it, or get this one and wait for it to expire past it, whatever you wanted to do at that point. But you need a very low rate of success at that level. So in this mentality, I did all of that without even doing what? Without even really looking at the market. One thing, and using any indicators. The one thing I do is that I look for these big impulsive moves, big, super huge impulsive move like this. And then once it starts to vibrate within like 3 or 4 bars, I start putting my lines. I start looking for where's the bottom, where's the top, right? And if this was the top, right? Because once the move happens, you wait for the first return. Like if you get 4 or 5 really good ones, wait for the return, pop it like that, and look what happened. Do right there. And then once it closes over, it starts to happen. This bar right here, this one becomes my indicator, right? Why? Because it's outside and below this. If it ended up here somewhere, where am I looking at? You see? Because this isn't a coincidence. Why isn't that level a coincidence? Right? You see that? So you can read the charts even by just doing that. Now, why am I teaching you this? Well, 1, I love to teach trading. 2, this is something for those that if you could see the same thing. I have a lot of traders that have come to me after months and months of studying the Dex Atomic, months and months of studying the market and the charts, and say, Max, I found something for myself within your system. Thank you so much for teaching me this. Here's what I've learned. And they're off trading. They're trading Forex. They're doing those kind of things. But I want you all to know that I'm not here just to give you something to buy into with Nadex in our system, but here to teach you. And if I teach you well enough, you'll be with us forever. All right. Thor, did you end up getting any, did you get your journal up? Did you have anything?
Yeah, I've got it on my screen if you want to do that.
Yeah, sure. I'm going to stop sharing on my side, and you could share yours.
Okay, and I always have to figure this out.
Yeah, I know, right? In the meantime, Paul Davey showed up. Mr. Davey. Killing his Facebook pages. So
hi, Max.
How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, sorry, it's the wife's birthday today, so I had to have a meal.
Uh-oh.
I'm back. She's giving me grace for half an hour.
Okay. That's don't use up your tickets on us.
Oh, she's cool with it. She knows what's going on.
All right. So what are we looking at here?
So this is my week.
Okay. Cool.
And right now I'm up $468.50.
What?
So.
Oh, you're doing 2 contracts, so that's cool.
Right, I'm doing 2 contracts.
Yeah.
Based on my account size, a couple of grand in there. Just do 2 contracts, and they are all ATM, atomic.
ITM.
In the money trades, right?
Right.
And I've just been killing it this week. In fact, I'm almost paranoid about trading because I don't want to take a loss. I've got 0 losses.
What?
157 on Monday, 137 on Tuesday. I'm missing a day here. I must not have put the day total in somewhere here. And yesterday's 147. So I'm hitting right around that number.
Yeah.
Every day.
And that's beautiful. So that's about, we call it a profit per contract. So the profit average contract that you're doing, average per day or however much, because if you got 468, your session for the week is like 234 per contract, per single contract. So when you trade just one contract at a time, you make $234 for the week. And why is that so huge? Because how do you make 468? You see it right in front of you. This is a classic case, a textbook case, a Max Tex case of what CVG really looks like in its whole on a live account, a real account, real money.
This is real money.
No joke. Okay.
I trade live on this.
Our integrity is very high when it comes to I've always told people, if I ever catch you cheating, I'm never going to use you again, because it's I can't trust you once. I can't trust you twice, of course. And luckily, and again, I look, there's a lot of times I look and I found a couple people playing the game, you know. Now, the other is the relationship I have with most of the people, like with Thor and Paul and Vivian and Chris and all those guys. You guys have been with me for so long, right? And I've never sniffed anything of anything less than completely being beyond reproach. And so when we show these, you can choose to believe. If you're watching this after the fact, you're watching this right now, you could choose to do whatever you want with this information. But know one thing, we've been out for now, what, 6-7 years. And in this industry, that's like, I don't know, it's like McDonald's kind of mentality, you know, been around forever. But our consistency, we've always grown, and we've kept it dailies, we kept that process, we kept that solution. So I don't think we're going to, we never want to discuss, you know, why people in the industry cheat or why they steal or anything. But we got into this industry and into this process because we wanted to create a light against all those cheaters and rip-off artists and show you something that really works. You know, Thor wouldn't show you this if it didn't really work.
No, you know,
I wouldn't show you this.
If someone challenges me, I can produce time and sales tickets. I can produce my tickets,
Yeah.
you know, on Nadex, and show you these were live actual trades.
Right.
It gains us nothing to fake it.
Because it can be
I suppose
checked.
I could type in something here, you know, and
Yeah, you could.
Like
You could. You
know,
could actually
fake the
do that.
numbers or, you know, but you know, how would that help me or help anybody else?
Right.
I mean, you know, if you
Well, in most cases, you have to sleep with that. I don't,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because
Well, you do
I'm the
too,
same.
because you do too, because I'm saying it over your network here.
Well, yeah, but see, if I didn't trust you, I wouldn't have ever
Right,
asked you
right.
on
You're
the network.
vouching, basically vouching for me.
Yeah. Well,
I
I'm
appreciate that.
you're vouching for yourself because of your integrity that you've done, and I'm just saying to everybody else, I didn't even see these prior to. I don't need to.
Right. Right.
You know, if you have to take the time to cheat the system, then man, am I like the biggest doof in the world to trust you with it? But that's not really what it is anymore. It's people see it once they get here, you immediately become engrossed in the numbers. You're like, wait a minute. And you know, and I do get people. I got somebody the other day. You get losses. I'm gonna take your screen off now. 468.50. Great job, Thor. That means a lot. I did have somebody in our system that came in and he's like, Max, you know, I watched your video the other day and I seen you had, you know, it's 60% success rate, 63% success. There's no way. Because I got in today and I did 38%. Absolutely. You probably did. I'm not, you I don't know what I'm doing wrong here. I've been doing it for a whole day and I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Okay. You still don't know. And they're in a free mentality. They're in there trying to stuff out. They're still learning. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to pick wrong directions. You're going to pick wrong statements, that kind of stuff. But then guess what else you're going to have? You're going to have a bad day. And if you happen to get here and you've gotten a bad day, I'm sorry. But that's just like when you go to jump on the wheel at the playground and you get hit with a bar. You know, you're going to have a bad day. It's not so many, how many bad days can you have or will you have? I don't know. Like here's one. Here's a bad day that happened for David Menning at $179 loss for a single day. This was on the 9th. The next day on the 10th, okay, he's back in the saddle again, just kicking butt again. But then he has a -$7 day. So now that's 2 days that, well, this started to take over from the previous day, okay? If I take that one off from the previous day of the 23rd, because it really went on the 23rd. So this one here would actually been up there. He would have been like minus something, you know, like minus $40 for that day. Okay. Now, how much is a bad day to you? If you end up losing 3 trades and over what we call over 3 trades for the day, right? Like if you got 3 trades here, you lost, but at the end of the day, if you're 3 trades behind, that's really, yeah, that could be considered a bad day. Like I had one on the 8th and I didn't even trade the 9th. Right. So my day was different. Okay. He's still making a lot more money than me because he's trading a lot more as well. But I had a bad day on the 8th. Okay. But again, it wasn't really a bad day. I just had some trade losses. And then I went into super mode of going and finding. I went up too far right there. Oh, that's 106. That wasn't too bad of a day. Well, I ended up having a minus 22. It was like 27 or whatever it was. I lost it up for the day that I lost some money. Okay. And there you go. Okay, that's why. Because I came back and traded later on. So there's the 2 p.m. Here it is right here. Here's a minus $1.25 there. I scalped out on one trade, probably shouldn't have. You know, there was a couple losses in a row. So yeah, I had a bad day. Not a profitable day. I should say not a profitable day. Not a bad day, but not a non-profit day. And you're going to get those days. The other is that I'm not trading every single trade. There were some that I wasn't getting into. David's not even in his strategy. He's not trading every single day or every single trade. Ron Fickett, on the other hand, I think is trading just about every single one that comes over during a certain period of time. I know Paul and I did I don't have it on here, Paul, but I had from the list of the 5 masters trading on the 9th, I think it was, right? Was it the 9th and 10th? Trading
Yes,
every single master one. And yes, it was a bad day for that day. The overall temperature for the 9th was bad. The night to the and whole day of the 9th and part of the 10th was a bad day.
Bad day. I thought I was calculating it wrong when I looked at it.
Yeah, right. So was I. See, this is why I took a stop, and I needed to find out what was the trigger for that. You know, it was the FMOC. It was other things that were firing off. There was rebuttals to that. There was other angst to that process. So what I did is that I ran the strategy for it, and I started to look, well, if I did a pullback from one statement backwards, right? Because the amount that we were losing by were like all under 5-6 pips at times. You know, we were losing some by only 1 pip or 2 pips. So not very much. So it wasn't like it was like an extravagant, you know, push away, you know, like we were losing them all by 50, 60 pips. You know, that'd be just simple news avoidance. But
I must admit, Max, when I went through it, I looked at it, and I know you don't like the scalping side of things if you can help it, but I thought, I'm looking at it, and without swearing, I said, why isn't he bloody scalping out?
Yeah.
Why doesn't he scalp these? What's he doing?
All right, let's talk about that for a second, right? Because there's a mentality that still needs to be tested. And that strategy kind of looks like this, and I'll show you. So if I buy in for $45, right? I'm buying in for $45 profit margin. And the market moves in my favor. Let's say it's for a buy. It moves up 6 pips. This turns into about 60% of the profit, right? Shows on the market price. If it goes up past 6 pips into the 8 to 10 pips margin, I'm probably pushing 70% of my profit margin in the market price. So your little market price will show green, about 75% of whatever you have it here for. 70% when it's between 6 to 8 pips. And so as the market comes out and it starts to go, if this was the statement price and it starts to come back and you're like, well, and here's the expiry, and it comes back there and it vibrates here, and you're only finishing or falling or faltering this much, but yet it at one time had been 6 to 10 pips. There is a process that some people could do that for every trade you come onto, right? And here's the downside. We don't know when this happens. Sometimes it's a down signal and it comes out and it just goes straight up and it just keeps going up, right? It may not come down and then go up. But that, again, comes with experience. You begin to see, you know, maybe as the MA is like this, right? And you have an up signal like this, and you see it coming back to, you get a couple down arrows at this point, you know, and you got a down arrow like that. This is a great possibility. But if you had an up arrow right here, you don't know what you don't know, right? So you can't really, you could say, I could scalp out, I could do whatever, but what will happen? So at 70% of that profit margin, you're getting about $31. And that's still okay to a degree. you know, because you're risking what, 55 if it were to lose. You see? So you're still now you're to a 2-to-1. But with the 2-to-1, this is not a break-even strategy. This is still profitable. You're risking 2 to make 1, right? You're risking 2 of these to make 1 of these, or vice versa. You're risking 2 times as much, right? But it's really not even. It's more like a 1.7 or 1.6 to 1, right? I'm risking $55 to make 31, because if I win, if I lose this one and I win another one, I only need to win 1 more. And then how much money am I above? I'm $7, right? Above. Now minus fees and all that kind of nonsense, you might break even. So this is a break even strategy, a 2-to-1. Okay. So 2 trades to 1 trade for the loss. But if you do this scalp, you should have an availability to scalp. Even if it starts going against you, do you scalp? That's a question to you, Paul.
Yeah, it depends how far into the trade we're in, Max.
Right.
Because, you know, I do like to scalpel. It was just old habits. So,
Well,
yeah,
Paul,
it would really depend on how far in the trade I am and what's happening. A lot of things to take into account before I scalp out.
yeah, if you don't know who Paul Davy is, Paul Davy is one of the original Trader's Mind participants, and one of the ones that I drilled in for a long time scalping. I made him like go through scalping boot camp, right?
Yeah. If it's green, scalp.
If it's green, scalp. You know, if you got the money, go get it.
Go get
Right?
it. Yeah.
But don't be scalping out for no dollar, because you lose one at, you know, you still need to make that money back. Now, but see, now that we're at 45.55, there's a lot more margin there. When we're at like 20.80, scalping out at like 70% of that is only $14, right? So you're scalping out. Is that right? Yeah. So you're scalping out of 14. Now you're losing, but now you only got $14. So how many 14s fit into 80? Right. So now you got a 1 to or 6 to 1 that you got to do. So in the process, you can scalp, but do so with something in mind that will still help you. Don't scalp out for $10 unless you feel it's going to physically lose at that point. What you're looking for is that engrossed margin that comes up there. It hits that 70% mark. Like the other day, I did scalp live on a webinar because it got to something like 90% of the profit margin. I was like, I don't know why. And I took it. So instead of getting $5 extra, I got $5 less. And I was fine with that because I got out of the market and I secured my win. Now, you can come in, and as soon as the trade goes on, it goes on for $45. And here's what I do is that I take 45 and I times it by 0.7, and I look at $31. I'll probably drop down a little bit and I'll go, okay, I'm cool. If you say, if I feel like I need to scalp, like if it's going to go up and hit a certain margin or what have you, I might put on a working order, right? If this was a sell, I would do a buy down here. If this was a buy, I would do a sell on the working order, and I would do so for $30 profit margin. And I teach you how to do that inside the network already. But when you do that, that's referred to as a take profit. And in that take profit, sometimes it'll happen pretty quickly that I'm in and out of the trade. I'm done. I'm happy, right? I made my 30 bucks. But if you do that on every single trade, you're going to restrict yourself to $30 profit margin on every trade. Because let's just say that you get into a trade like this and it just vibrates at that level, and you never put in a take profit down here. There's something called time decayance. Okay. And time decay is that if this market were just to stay flat the entire time, the closer it gets to expiry, the more, and it's above the statement price or below the statement price, whatever way direction you have, which is in the money, the more market value it has. And the more it gets closer to go over to the other side, the less market value it has. We've all seen this. We've all been close to the OTM or ATM, and it's been like -7 or -20 or what have you. You're like, wait a minute, I'm still winning. So you have to pay attention, right? So if you are paying attention, you can put this $30 on and be like, boom, done. But you could still be in the win here. And it gets the profit margin of like $30 and it takes off, right? And now you're missing $15 of profit margin for it to be a sure thing. You know, but if you don't care about the woulda, shoulda, couldas, scalp. But just learn how to scalp on the bad side too. We've all had those trades, right? Where we go, it's going to be a buy, and it goes blah, 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 and then like here's expiry, and then it gets down to like the last bar, and it goes, screw it, I'm in, I win, and you've scalped out. We've all been there. We've all watched it happen, but then we've also been that person where it's lost last second, not scalped out, and said it woulda, shoulda, coulda. Right? It all depends on who you are. Paul David, you probably scalp like your life depends on it.
Yeah, I used to. I just like the slap on the wrist every time I do it.
Yeah. No, but it's cool. You can do that. Do whatever now makes it feel natural for you. That's what all this is about. All right. Let's get into one last final thing, and because I got a meeting with these guys here right afterwards. I want to talk to you all about, we said something on Wednesday or Tuesday, and I want you to know what I was referring to is something that is, it is coming. We just don't know when yet. We were proposing for June 30th. What we are going to do is we are going to close almost all, well, basically all the subscriptions to the system itself to the general public. We're going to open up an exclusive part of the network to only be members that we're going to be training to get to one goal, and that's trading live, making money. And whether that's with the DEX atomic system or you're trading ITMs like Thor is or what have you, there's going to be several groups of people, probably staged via per session. So we can have people like Paul or Thor or myself or Chris or what have you in those things, you know, Ron Fickert, those things. They'll be in Discord, they'll be in community centers, they'll be on Facebook. We're going to be having webinars that are directly only towards members that are here to make that process work, that exclusive network. We're creating this exclusive network. Whatever it's going to be called is going to be called. What's going to happen to the regular DEX markets? Well, the DEX FX market's no longer going to have the membership side to a degree, right? There's still going to be people paying for the system to be inside that exclusive network. Now, if you're a founders member, co-founder, diamond, you know who you are, okay? You can have access to that system, okay? But only if you're going to use it. Right? So if you're a founders member or a co-founder, or if you're a lifetime member, okay, you can have access to the system. If you've already paid for your lifetime or you're paying for your lifetime, you're going to be invited to that. Okay. You'll have those things still. I'm always true to what I say out there. You know, you guys, if no matter what we're building on the outside, you're going to get access to. Okay. So you'll have access to this. Whether or not you want to join the exclusive club is going to be up to you. Okay, you'll still have access to all the tools, but you may not have access to the exclusive side if you don't join the process, because joining the process is going to put you into some things that you need to do. You need to have a journal. You need to make sure that you're in trading, that you're sharing your journal with us. You're making sure that you're following the rules, that we want you to be successful. We want you to get to that point where you're training to get to the point where you're making money. And why is it that important? Because making $460 or $500 a month or a week, it puts $2,000 in your jar every month. And how do you get to 4,000? You trade 4 contracts. You're David Menning and you're trading, you know, at this level, and you're pulling in $1,300 every week per one contract, or maybe he trades half as much and only pulls in 7. How do you make 10 grand a month? Trade 10 contracts at that point. 7 contracts in this case, or 6, whatever it is. CVG is a very powerful process, but only once it's obtained with patience and discipline, as we know. And so what are we going to do? Well, we're going to open it up at first to 100 people in the exclusive network. We're going to bring you in. You're going to go into a special process to where we're going to track everything you do on these 100 people. And you're going to get these goals of learning the system, trading demo, turning live, being profitable. And these goals, if you will trigger certain things that'll be happening. You'll be paying for your membership. If you haven't paid for your membership, if you're not finished paying your membership, be put in. If you're a founder and you want to join, there'll be a special page. You join and you'll get access. They will then go in. We'll start on a particular day and we'll start moving forward. Okay. If you're not a lifetime, or if you're watching this after the fact, you're watching this on our YouTube channel and you want to get in, we're going to have a special page for you by tomorrow that you can come in and join. You will be buying a lifetime subscription, but not at the prices that we had before. We only had those out to help people get in. But now with this process, what you're going to receive is something amazing. That lifetime subscription is going to be $2,400. And there's two ways to pay for it. $100 a month for 24 months or $200 for 12 months. $200 a month for 12 months. Now, this may seem kind of gross, like, whoa, I don't know if I can afford that, Max. I get it. This will be tough. Sell coconuts, go get cans, go do whatever you got to do to get into this process, because I'm only allowing a certain amount of people to do this. Why? Because if you thought, I was always worried whether or not we had it right. You know, is it right? Is the signals working? Is the process working? It takes only a certain mentality to do it. But now that we've created Dex Atomic system, I need to put staff and people in. That's Paul, Thor, Vivian, and other people, and they need to be paid to be able to be here because they're taking time out of their schedule. Whether or not I'm not making any money on the site and the system, and neither is Chris, and neither is Paul, Thor, or Vivian, because the site's just making enough money to pay for itself, and we're being very philanthropic to help people out. That's got to end. We're all here to make money. I'm here to teach you how to make money using Nadex and that system. But in order to do that, I need to leverage my system that we created and that Paul, Thor, Vivian, and Chris, and all the other people have done. Okay. All the other staff that are on here, all the other clients, all the other, my partners, they're not staff, they're partners. They need to be making money as well for doing all this stuff. So this is what it'll be. Now, if you already have a lifetime membership, you kind of got in, you got a good deal. You sign up for this process. The only thing you got to do is be able to follow the rules and keep things going. If you're not going to use it, step aside, go use the signals, go do whatever. You'll still have access to all that stuff. But for the general public, there'll be no more directly free system. There will be an ITM, Dex Atomic ITM system out there for just the signals. I don't know if we'll have the charts up anymore for that side. I'm sorry. We've had a lot of people abuse them. We talked about this the other day. And so with that, we may have a free system in there. But we are only going to open, we're shooting for a full 365 days, 1 year. We're going to reopen the buy into this stuff because I want people in there making money. If it takes 6 months to get everybody to live and making money, then great. We may do that, put you into a secondary room to where, you know, there'll be a certain amount of people to be in there in case you have any problems, and then bring on another 100 people and train them and get them on board. But we're doing this because we are very sincere about getting those people to making money live. Now, once you come in, if you got a lifetime subscription, everything else, and once you go live, here's where it gets kind of unusual. There will be a processing fee every month, but only once you go live. Because I could have made this $5,000 to be joined into this program. And that processing fee is for you and for others, you know, if you're using, and by the way, not only are you going to have the manual system, there will be an auto system when you're in this system. You know, the ZDON system will be in here. Okay. Will be in the system. For those that are founders that already have ZDON, don't worry. You got it there. It's going to stay there, but you're going to get a better version here soon. That'll have ITM, ATM, and OTM opportunities. Okay. At these levels that we're talking about with the new trading view system and all that kind of stuff that can be attached to your ZDON. Okay. So don't worry. You're all going to have that stuff. But for those that want in and do this process, this is how it's going to work. Okay, because we've had a lot of people come on. They've taken a lot of our time in the free side to help train them, and they're unsure what to do, or they what have you. We need to get a hold of you, shake you every day, and say, okay, this is what you have to do. Because you're going to be coming to a restaurant that the owners and everybody else eats at. Thor's in there making money. Paul's in there making money. I'm in there making money. Chris is making money. All these people are making money. Now we need you to be making money. Because when you're making money, I know the system works. I already know it works. I've been making money on it now for some time. Thor knows it works. Paul knows it works. All these people know that it works, but how do we get it working for you? There's too many of those companies out there that have all these people that are like, well, I make $10,000 a week, and they show stuff happening on Nadex and removing money and doing all that kind of nonsense. But yet, for some reason, the majority, almost all of their people, nobody can make it work. We want you to get it to work. Now, listen, if you can't afford to do this, I probably would say probably don't trade. But if you really do want to do this and you've got some sort of process you want to be able to, we could Quid Quo Pro or, trade services, do whatever, write in, set yourself a time to make a consult, talk to one of the owners, talk to one of us, make all kinds of deals. I don't care. But if you've got the time and you want to make this work, join up. If you can only do $20 and it's got to take 40 years to do it, and then you can, you pay $20 and then get to a point where, hey, once I start going live and I save my money to go live and do all that stuff, we can work on stuff. But this isn't a game. We are now here to make money. We have the systems. Everything's coming to fruition June 30th. It won't be earlier than June 30th. It may be after the holiday of July 4th. Paul, Thor, thank you very much for hanging out. Stick around with me for a little bit.
Very welcome.
We'll do, Max. Just give me 5. I've just got to do something, but I'll be back in 5.
I was just about to say the same
Hey,
thing.
you know what? You guys got the gist of what we were going to talk about, right?
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
I'll just leave it open. I've just got to do something.
Well, we're gonna have to springboard because I need 5 minutes now too. Right now, you guys said it now. The head's calling me too. But listen, you guys go do what you got to go do. I'm going to go do what I do, and we'll probably reset for say sometime tomorrow or something, or later on this evening. Go enjoy your family tonight, Paul. You too, Thor, and I will talk to you both tomorrow. Everybody else, we really do appreciate you being with us. We thank you so much for having everything. It looks like Chris came back too. Chris, I'll be calling you here in a second. Everybody else, thank you very much for being here. I appreciate all the work that you guys are putting in. The Ron Figures, the Paul, everybody, right? David Manning, everybody. Let me share their stuff and all their stuff in there. You guys take it easy. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow for the weekly wrap up with the Chris and Max show. For everybody else, look forward to seeing you inside. And as always, trade well.